Welcome to Real Property Pros and Cons, episode 19. So, two things happened between last week and this week. The first thing that happened is I realized that, you know, most people don't really want to watch two people talking to each other on a screen for an hour or like 50, 56 minutes or however much time it is. So I'm like, well, okay, I should probably do something so that my show is not that. And the second thing that I realized is that it's really fun to walk around with a camera when somebody else is talking at the camera and I'm not the one talking at it. So I was like, okay, how can I blend these two things together and also have an interesting show? And kind of by chance, I met our really awesome guest for today who works with the Downtown Partnership, which is essentially this organization that is trying to revitalize downtown San Diego. And downtown San Diego is awesome. Like, it's a really cool place. And it also has like a lot of potential for growth. And so our guest is responsible for essentially figuring out where the potential for growth is, what we can do to revitalize downtown, and make downtown San Diego sort of the thriving, amazing community that it can be. And I thought, well, that's awesome. I'll walk around with this guy. He'll talk at a camera for a little bit, and we'll talk about downtown San Diego. And not only did I learn a lot about downtown San Diego, I also thought y'all might enjoy watching some of those clips, and y'all might also enjoy, you know, seeing something a little bit different. So, provided that the technology works, and provided that everything goes well, we will have a more entertaining show that is not you watching two people talk at each other for an hour. It will instead be you watching people talk at each other for a certain amount of time, broken up by clips of people walking around with each other in downtown San Diego, which I imagine is going to be a whole lot more interesting. So, after this brief interlude, I will come back and we will talk to our guest. All right. Well, I am here today with Joel Hermosillo, who is the City Center Business Improvement District Manager. We'll ask him what exactly business improvement districts are. And our guest, Joel, oversees the management and execution of the marketing and development efforts for the City Center Downtown Improvement District. Prior to joining this team, Joel was part of the City of Menifee's Office of Economic Development, where he oversaw business retention, attraction, and expansion for the city. His passion is working with business, and it comes from being part of a small business owning family and knowing the challenges that businesses have to deal with. When Joel is not working, you can find him playing golf in one of the many beautiful golf courses in San Diego. And I will probably say that playing golf is a really great way to network and meet people, which might have something to do with why you have the job that you have. If you actually enjoy golf, that means you're going to be around people who either do enjoy golf or don't enjoy golf, but nonetheless play golf for business purposes.
Very true. Can't deny
Awesome.
that. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me, friends.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So, I want to thank you very much for being on my show and, being the test case for building up and developing my show, which is kind of what you do for cities. So, it's kind of like a good fit, right?
Yeah, I think it really is. Kind of a good segue into me being here and this new little development we're going to go test out for your show. Love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I kind of want to ask you is like, what exactly is a business improvement district? So like downtown is a space, right?
Correct.
And then it's
So,
broken down into other spaces.
yes, and these are normally other business improvement districts. So, for example, you have like the Little Italy Business Improvement District, the Gas Lamp, East Village, and then City Center. And then you have other type of micro districts. Are, for example, Columbia, Cortez, and then go outside of downtown, you have the San Diego College Area District, the Pacific Beach Business District. So business districts are all over the place. Normally, they're kind of assembled when a bunch of businesses basically want to have these new type of services and probably like a way to market and enhance their business area. So they assemble a bid, which normally is funded through a special tax by the city, and then through that tax, they're able to find staff and create new programs and ways to better enhance and market their business area.
That's awesome. So essentially, we are taxing people who don't live in the area so that the area can be improved.
No, not necessarily, not taxing people. We're taxing. So the businesses, they get together, they assemble each other, and they basically decide, what, we want to be a business district. So they'll take that to the city, and the city will add a special tax, a special business tax to these businesses within this designated area. Yes.
Okay.
And that
so essentially, it's almost like an HOA system. They're like, we want to be a district and we're willing to pay for it, and enough of us are willing to spend money. And if you don't want to spend the money, then please leave.
Pretty much, yep.
Great. Well, I guess HOAs and those sorts of things show up in business life as well.
Very true, very true.
Awesome. So, I think that what we kind of did when we kind of took our little tour of San Diego or a couple days ago was we really not really sure what's going on there. It seems like somebody tried to log in but did not actually. Okay, whatever. So when we were walking around the city and kind of we're looking at it, I think that we kind of really sort of looked at what are some areas of the city of San Diego that have some issues, and then we gradually moved to what the city is doing in order to improve these areas. And so I think that's actually a really good way to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I will just introduce all of the clips, and I'll introduce them by myself because that gives you an opportunity to, like, I don't know, blow your nose or have a sip of water or like run around and make funny faces for a little bit, which I get to do when I spotlight you, but you don't get to do that. So I'll be right back, and I'll introduce the first clip, which is actually a clip of just C Street. So C Street is, right where the trolley runs in San Diego, and there's a lot kind of along that C Street corridor. And as I was talking to Joel, he kind of helped me understand what some of the issues are, break-ins, what some of the businesses care about. So we'll just look at this clip, and then Joel will come back and we'll talk about what's going on there. So we'll be right back.
It's all plaza type of activity. There's a lot of potential with the public space and then the vacancies that are existing along this C Street. So the potential's here to do something big in the area. But then you have these issues over there, so like the broken windows and all that. On the other side of C Street, you have the sandwich house where they went back to fixing their, they haven't fixed their window the second time, but they went back to back of like issues like people like burning down their window, breaking in with a rock. And it's a common issue that we're seeing along C Street, and it spreads out to the other neighboring blocks.
Right. So I think one of the things that I found really interesting about this clip is you talking about sort of everything kind of spreading out to the neighboring blocks. And is the philosophy or theory behind business improvement districts and kind of what you do really this idea that if you make one thing better, then that is also going to spread out to neighboring blocks?
So yeah, it's in the sense it's kind of looking at it, and speaking with my board and everything like that, a lot of their businesses are either a block away or on the same street, one of the adjacent streets from C Street. So to them, they get a lot of that riffraff that comes along C Street into their business areas, and then it just they all say like, yeah, it all comes from C Street. It all just they have business potential business clients come tour the area, and those business clients see C Street and they're like, we don't feel safe with that, like right in your backyard, so we're going to take our business elsewhere. And that's a common theme we're seeing around these businesses that are just 1 or 2 blocks away from C Street. So it's that initiative that we really needed to do to save that corridor, save that C Street. And it's not necessarily, for some people say, it's the unhoused that's causing that. Well, to a certain point, yes, but there's ways that we can help with that. So let's say we do an event along C Street, we activate it. Of course, we're going to create that avenue where there's one of the, for example, with the downtown partnership, we have an in-house outreach team. We'll have them have a booth for them right there, where they're right there in the middle of it during the event, because nonetheless, there's going to be unhoused population around that area. So there you go, connecting them right there, straightly to them through an event, as well as activating the area to kind of help improve the traffic, improve the life that's going along C Street. Because right now, it's definitely one of those pockets that separates the business improvement district. Um, you have all these I see it as there's all these micro pockets around the city center. So you have, the East Street, which has the Tajimas right there. You have the Feedlit vinyl store, you have the wine boutique, and you have Pokey's restaurant. And then you have another pocket that's on B Street, and that's the donut bar, that's Swami's, the old gallery. And then you have another pocket on 7th and 6th, but it's all separated for most of the part by C Street. And people don't want to
Right.
cross. It's people don't, like, you don't want to go from 7th. You rather just stay on 7th, but that's going to prevent you from going to E, or prevent you from going to Broadway. And it's just that C Street corridor, because nonetheless, people don't feel safe going there. And it sucks because city center, that area around C Street is such a great area to like park before going to a Padre game, because the parking's cheaper, and it's a walk, but nonetheless, you're paying about like probably $30 to $40 less in parking, and you're not
Yeah,
going through all the traffic and hassle to get to Petco. But again,
absolutely.
people don't want to cross over C Street. And what I've seen lately from the activity from the county and the city is that, this can't get any worse. Everybody's finally seen this, and everybody's putting their all levels are really putting their hands on, and want to get something fixed there, just in downtown in general, really, in San Diego.
Yeah, and I wonder, to what extent do you think that the sort of expansion of the trolley up into the UTC area, to what extent do you think that's kind of activated or caused people to think like, maybe we should do something with downtown? Because like, if you've been to UTC, it's a very nice area. It's generally pretty safe. Everybody loves it. There's all of these, big developers. There's the Irvine
Hmm.
Company. There's who else is there? There's that other big biotech developers whose names I can't recall off the top of my head, and they kind of are there, and now there's kind of this opportunity for a relationship to form between those uh, businesses and downtown. And I wonder to what extent is that development causing people to say, you know what, we really want to revitalize
I think it's really causing, it's giving a vision that what could be for downtown, and the trolley line that goes through there. Because right now, for the most part, I don't see many people wanting to eagerly get on their trolley line to work or anything like that. And it's because, all these type of businesses are in La Jolla, but there is a move I've seen recently to like get them, these type of businesses located in downtown San Diego. So like, for example, you have the development of IQ HQ, which is a big project in its own, and then you have the Horton Plaza redevelopment as well that's going on right now, and that's, it's all getting these types of tech companies in the area, all this new type of business traffic as well. Whereas we're kind of getting away from your regular corporate office type of job, and we're going into tech. And you've seen the recent news of like Silicon Valley now coming to San Diego, and it's happening in La Jolla, it's Sorrento Valley, and now it's moving to downtown, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I certainly have seen in sort of the real estate world is San Francisco Bay Area is starting to be way more expensive than people are willing to to pay in that area. And quite honestly, like San Francisco does not have great weather. Like there's a special store right by the airport so that when you go there in July, you can buy yourself the coats and sweaters that you need to survive in San Francisco during that time of year because it's so cold. And so, people are like, why am I paying this much money to live in a place that's so cold when I can go a few hundred miles south and live in San Diego, which is less expensive and a lot nicer, at least weather-wise. So I'm definitely seeing kind of those visions coming into San Diego
Mhm.
as well. It's just people coming in and saying, "Hey, you know what? This is a better place. We can be here."
Yeah. We got better weather and everything here. I don't. It's but in the end, that's gonna end up making our property prices go up once we get those incomes over here from Silicon Valley. So there's a little
There's a
trade for
trade-off.
everything. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. So I mean, I think that but I think that what you said was really helpful in terms of thinking about creating a vision for downtown and understanding what downtown can be. And I
Mhm.
really do think, oh, the company I was trying to think of was Alexandria. So you've got the Irvine company, you've got Alexandria up in UTC who are making these big developments. And I think that sort of seeing what UTC has become, including with the trolley line, has really helped downtown realize, okay, this is what we also could be, and
Yeah.
then we can have these two kind of centers that are very walkable, very nice, where people can live.
Yeah, the potential is there, and I see it on C Street where it's the business district. It's C Street's in the core of C Street is in the business district, in the city center business district. You have the offices there, you have the restaurants, you have the coffee shops, but there and you have great venues like the House of Blue, the Civic San Diego Theater, the Symphony. We went over that as well. That's all in that area. The potential's there. Now it's just like activating C Street and getting those vacancies, which are large vacancies on each corner of a fourth, fifth, all along C Street. Um, and is it creating a type of a craft street right there? Inviting those type of businesses, whether it's craft breweries, craft boutique retailers, and making it a regionally tourist destination. That would be an ultimate goal. And I see the city center bid and partners going towards something like that. But it's all about first let's see what we can get started and what we can attract there to the area and unlocking its potential, and then the end goal being I think a regional destination for both residents, tourists, and visitor. Oh well, and businesses.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful. And when we talk about, you just mentioned kind of like vacancies, I think this is a really nice sort of like segue to our next clip where we talked about one vacant building. And so Joel and I were kind of walking around on C Street, and there is, one building that now has a fence around it, and it's just kind of like not used. And we kind of talked about what impact this building has on the area, and what it does, and what the potential could be.
California Theater, with just a month ago, this fence was all the way to the pretty much the wall, the building itself. There was this huge encampment from here, and all these businesses, they were suffering from it, really. And there was a fire here recently, and this is what pushed them to pull out the fence. Now cabin's gone, but still, this is just it's blind. It needs to something needs to happen here. They're just waiting for something bad to happen. I feel like a wall to come down or something like that. Until then the city might be able to push to do something. But in the meantime, just the developer went defunct, and you have this city. It's like a whole block here in C Street, and it neighbors the city hall area. It neighbors all these shops, the hotel, which they all want to see something done and happen already. So it's all these challenges here on C Street, but the potential's still here. We can work around this. It's no problem, and hopefully activating this area will activate something to happen in the California Theater, we hope.
Awesome. Well, so that is the California Theater. We kind of talked about, the fact that there was an encampment there. The encampment has now been removed, and sort of this idea that you've got this giant building with a fence around it that takes up an entire block essentially of this street. with nothing there. And and as you said, it's right next to City Hall. It's very not that far from the courthouse. Like it's relatively close to a whole bunch of things. And what can you do with that? So I wonder, sort of, as in your role, what do you see as being like potential uses for that building? Like, should the building stay? Should it turn into apartments? Like, what could happen to it?
So, from what I know, just a little history. Like this has been a problem for the past, and don't quote me on this, but probably for like 15 to 20 years already, where it's just sitting there and it's just rotting away. Um, Originally, the past few developers that have bought the site, do envision it to be residential. But as recently, the list past this recent developer that took over it, it's just been silence. No one's heard anything. I'm not sure if something happened during the lockdown. I did say defunct in the video, but don't quote me on that. But they just disappeared, if anything, and no one's heard from anything. You've had, from the city, calling for the demolition of the building, but there hasn't really been a response from the developers. But from what I do know, I believe it's entitled still to be residential, and just to go through a whole title change, maybe another mission. So residential, I think it would be good right there. It's another. It seems in that whole area, city center, they're straying away from office and going towards residential, if anything, mixed use with the retail on the bottom. Which I mean, honestly, I don't mind residential in the area. It adds more foot traffic, it adds more customers for our local businesses in the area as well. Um, so I'm fine with that for the old California Theater, but like for just something to get moved on that would be huge. Anything to get moved on that would be huge. We do see that Civic Center. Recently, there's now a Civic Center revitalization committee put on by the mayor, which I'm honored to be a part of as well. So that's gonna hopefully start talks to begin ideas of how we can now develop those 6 blocks where Civic Center is currently at and do something great with that. And we also have Fourth and B that sits right behind the old California Theater that's already being demolished, and I think it's gonna be another. Yeah, it's gonna be another residential area too. So all this is happening around it now. It's just waiting on that, and I don't see a better time to get started on that. So everything's happening, and then we're gonna start activating C Street, no matter what, if that gets moved or not. But we're gonna be hopefully getting things going on C Street to revitalize the area. But
I mean, I
yeah,
think that's great.
yeah, and the
So,
California Theaters. Oh, I'm sorry, go for it.
oh no, go ahead. What about the
I was just
California Theater?
Yeah, it's really been like the hotspot recently this past month, and with the news media, you've had, I forgot, I think it was KSI News, but KPSI, and there's someone already on the roof of the theater while they're doing like a whole piece on it, and there was people living in it. It's No one should be nowhere near that theater because it could come down really. So you know, it's been a very hot topic lately.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions that I have, which is kind of like, I don't know how much of it is like a personal question, but like how, or like my own personal curiosity, but like when they're building sort of residential, are there like height restrictions? Because I do know that there's some people who bought those condos and they have these really nice views, and it's like, okay, you build another 40-story high rise, and then their view goes poof, which is not great.
I mean, if you're asking about height restrictions, I wouldn't be able to give you a solid answer on that. I know it varies around San Diego, but if you were to just look right down C Street, C and 8th, you see the new Diego by Bosa
Right.
housing, and that is pretty tall.
Yes.
That height, yeah. So I would say it's pretty close to. I mean, that might have been the limit right there. I do know that there is some regulations now that have always been in the downtown area, causing some restrictions for residential projects, and specifically around the city center area, where it was kind of like making it more so that development was going to be corporate offices, but now that I believe has now recently been changed, so we're going to see a lot more residential happening in the area.
Oh,
And it kind
and
of yeah, it kind of goes with like this whole trend now since we've gone to like hybrid work, well, on working from home or the hybrid workforce where the offices isn't as strong as it was before, and now especially with the whole housing demand, especially here in California, it just makes perfect sense.
yeah, and I mean, I mean, separate and apart from our like whole earthquake situation in California and San Diego generally, but I mean, Tokyo definitely has earthquakes, and Tokyo has very tall buildings as well. So
True.
I think it's possible to create sort of a balance between having actual um, having actual spaces where
Mhm.
people can live and tall have amazing views and also be earthquake safe, which I think
I
is a
couldn't agree.
legitimate concern.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with
Um,
that.
yeah, so I mean, you also mentioned that people were like living in the theater or like doing. So yeah, like what's
Yeah.
that about?
So if you were to walk there when the fence was basically just like up against the wall and walk by the old California Theater, you had the whole unhoused encampment right there along that whole area, and they broke into the fence and you would see like the door was open. I remember one time seeing a guy just sweeping the door front like if it was his house. I mean, in a way, he made it his house, and people, just trying to get a roof over their hill, or people trying to get a roof over their head, and realistically, that's why they were, you see a vacant building, no one's really watching over it. Why not? If you're in that situation. Um, but that was the case there where people were living in there, and I'm pretty sure even like it's probably a, a health hazard inside as well too, not only from like the infrastructure itself, but what's probably infested in there too. So I've heard stories of
Yeah,
rats around that whole area too that they're pretty pretty
robust.
common to that site.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, And I mean, I guess it just sounds like it has to be demolished and redeveloped. And when developers make these, so one of the things that you also mentioned is that the developer, I guess, went defunct or left or something along those lines. Or you don't know what happened, but like I like to say the developer went poof. They just kind of like disappeared,
Poof.
as
Yep.
you said. And I wonder, like, when the city is vetting these projects, or when there are people, when developers come in and say that they want to do these projects, are there standards or things that the city or other review committees and boards do to kind of mitigate the risk of that happening? Not necessarily eliminate it, but just like kind of mitigate that
So I think it necessarily depends. Like, if it was a recently city owned property and they're selling that to a private developer, then there is an RFP, there's a bid and everything like that that goes through that, where it kind of goes through the vetting, and then there's also standards by the state that has it. You have for example, you have the Surplus Land Act, which makes sure that if a city or a government sells any land, that a a percentage of that land has to be built for affordable housing, has to go through this whole process. So there's that, but I'm not too sure when it goes from a private owned company to another private owned company if the city gets involved in that. I'm pretty sure the city gets involved when the plans come. Well, of course, when the plans come through and they're vetting the actual plans and see if that actually if it gets up to code. But when transactions like that, just to make sure one developer just doesn't poof and go away. Not too sure though how the city holds them accountable for that.
Yeah,
Um,
and I
yeah.
also kind of wonder, like, is there kind of in your experience, do you think there might be a mechanism uh, which everybody's favorite thing, more regulation. But do you think there might be some sort of mechanism for sort of like these large development type projects to ensure that the developers who try to take them on have the ability to take them on and see them to the end?
um, This is where I gotta kind of put my city planner hat on, but I was always in economic development where I was like, you know what, just get it done. I trust you. Um, just being the pro business person I am. Uh, but the only mechanism I can really think of, and it's not necessarily like a mechanism or a mechanism to ensure the project gets done. It's more of a mechanism like, hey, if it doesn't get done, and it's a piece like this where it's just rotting away, then you look at similar case studies around when something bad happens, and it's normally until something bad happens that a
Hmm.
city can claim eminent domain on a property and just take over the property and demolish it themselves and then sell the property back to a developer that they can properly vet.
Mm. Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like, I mean, that sounds a little unfortunate in that it sounds like there isn't really a clear mechanism for protecting people. I mean, I guess this is just, basic capitalism.
It goes to the
You can
brokers
buy
if
it.
anything. The broker's got to make sure if this is going to be, if this transaction will really see through, and I don't,
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas,
And also,
they also, this company went pretty far where they had the design and everything, the website ready for their this residential project on the old California Theater. They were pretty far in, but we went through a lockdown, which was,
right.
no one really saw that coming, and who knows, that they're everything probably just went silent right there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely possible. Well, it's definitely important to properly vet people and also, wonder, yeah, obviously the kind of the lawyer side of me is like, what sort of possible, mechanisms are in place that can protect against
Yeah,
this sort of thing? But who knows what the answers are.
yeah.
That being said, we spent about half of the show talking about problems and blight and terrible things, but downtown San Diego Partnership and business improvement district bids are are actually doing things.
Yeah.
You put in some trash cans, which we did not video, but we did put in some trash cans, and you also put in something really cool. So I'll talk about that in the next clip, where we were kind of walking around on not C Street now, but B Street, and B Street is, as Joel had mentioned, the area that has all sorts of, it has like some restaurants and places for people to go and stuff like that. And B Street has some interesting planters that they put in, and we talked a little bit about
City center planters right here. You're gonna see them a lot more around downtown, where they're gonna have the color and the name of the district that they're in. We'll definitely get a lot more here in City Center, down Broadway, but we're starting off here on B Street. And you're gonna see them kind of like in a four-way intersection like this, or there's even some at the Civic Center project. But yeah, we're excited. It's kind of giving each neighborhood their brand, their name, and other cool fact. If you're into plants, they're succulents, so they don't need to be watered that often either. So that's another great thing.
Awesome. Yes, you were like slightly cut off there, but yeah, they are succulents. They don't need to be watered that much, which means that they will look beautiful and require not too much water, which is amazing for San Diego and California, and our water
Especially right now.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, I was walking around today and I keep finding trash, and then like, we need more trash cans in the area, so that'll be coming soon, hopefully.
Walking my dog around like downtown, I can say there are not enough trash cans. Um, and I don't, I guess one of the questions that I've always had is like, do people actually like people use trash cans? I think like if there's a trash can, people will use them. So I wonder like why are there so few trash cans?
So, I mean, my only guess to that is because as of late, these trash cans have been making more trash. You have, many people just going through the trash can and just emptying them out, looking for, if it's food or cans, and they don't clean up the mess after. So
Oh,
that
that's
could be one of the
interesting.
reasons to like, what, this is not worth it anymore. So it's throwing trash out than keeping trash in. But these new trash cans, they're big belly trash cans that we're now going to be rolling out. You might have seen them. They're in
Yeah,
other districts around cities. They're in East Village. They're going to be all around downtown, and we're doing that through our Clean and Safe through the Downtown Partnership. Are meant to like you can't really reach into them anymore. It's a slot. You put the trash, close it, goes disappears, and there's even has it self compacts itself too in the trash can. And they're the first of its
yeah.
kind too. Our director from Clean and Safe actually like told Big Belly, okay, this would be great, this would be great, this would be great, and he created it like that. They're awesome.
That's amazing. That is really awesome. I've
Yeah.
definitely seen like similar looking trash cans in other cities like Philadelphia and in
So
New York and some places like that. But it seems like these
yeah.
are different.
So these ones are awesome. They kind of like because a lot of those other trash cans that are similar to this one, they had all these extra features that we didn't really need, and it was just adding cost to it. So like our director from Clean and Save got with the Big Belly and says, you know what, if you can, you know, cut this off, cut this off, cut this off, and if that decreases the price, this would be the perfect trash can. And yep, they did it, and there you go, first of its kind,
That's
right here
great.
in downtown San Diego. Yeah.
That is amazing, and I assume that we'll be seeing some more of them. Okay, and I think one of my just like completely random questions is how did they decide the colors for the business improvement district? So like I know that like the Columbia area is blue. I know that City Center is yellow. I imagine that like probably Little Italy is green. Um,
um, you
maybe
know,
not.
I've heard many backstories to it. Things like basically the colors. I don't know if they were picked by the city for the for the districts, and it was just kind of like, this is your color there. That's it. There's no like official voter on it or anything like that. I know, hearing from the history from the gas lamp, where the gas lamp kind of went like, nope, we're not going with that color. We're going with the color we have now, and they just stuck with it.
Oh, what is the
Um,
color? I mean, I don't know what the colors are.
is it? I think it's just gas lamp is. I think they're just like black and white, if I remember
Oh,
correctly.
okay.
Yeah, but I think they were given like a neon blue. Was it? I might be wrong here, but they just said no to that color. No, we're gonna stick with our original color that we've always had. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's a cool,
well, well, I
But
mean,
I'm a, what was that?
it's helpful if they had a color, then stick with it. Everybody kind of is like, this is where we are.
Yeah, I mean, true. I'm not sure who was in my position when the color was chosen for city center, but hey, colors grow on me, and what I like too. I'm not sure if it was by default, but kind of matches the San Diego Padres yellow, the city center yellow. So I was like, all right,
Yes,
all right, I'll roll with that.
yeah. And actually, one of the things that we talked about your business improvement district, we talked about all of this. Where is City Center? Like,
Where is city?
where
Okay,
does
so
it run?
and let me see if I can share this. Can I change my background while I'm? Let me
I
see
think you
here.
probably can, and I will briefly take you
Perfect.
off and talk a little bit while Joel is doing that so that I can say that he is super knowledgeable and he's changed the back of his
All
screen.
right.
And oh, super helpful.
So you can't really see the top, but the top kind of breaks off at Ash Street. But this is city center. Have I popped out yet on the main screen? I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
see
yeah,
that I'm
you
loading.
are.
Okay, on my side it's still loading. So let me close my camera here so you can get a better. So that's city center right there. Those are all what encompasses city center.
Oh, that is a
Um,
really helpful.
I thought
So that,
I'm glad I got this. I was thinking like, this might be useful. This question might come up.
yes, it did, and it came up, and that's super helpful. And I can kind of see like this like weird little chunk that was taken out right where your neck is
Very,
now.
very cookie
Uh,
cutter around the edges. But
yeah,
there's over 900 businesses in this 50 block area. It stands high in the core of in downtown San Diego. It's actually the first business improvement district in the city of San Diego, which is, I think, pretty cool. But no one knows about it for the most part. It was what year? It was established in, let me 1972. 1972, the city center bid was established. So it is the oldest bid in the region. And we're just continuing, to foster this thriving workforce here and embracing placemaking in the community and economic development and programming for the whole city center region. Well, blocks.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
really awesome, and that's super helpful.
Yeah.
Um, and thank you for giving us a vision of what that is. Also, just like as an aside, City Center Yellow is what's like on the borders as opposed to what we actually um, highlighting the business improvement district. But yeah, so that's helpful. It's great to know kind of where it is, and it is really also nice to kind of see that it does sort of incorporate the like Cortez Hill areas, and it really does
Yeah.
have residential and businesses as well.
It's funny, and I was thinking about this today that you have the Cortez Hill, which is kind of its own like district itself. Yet the Cortez Hotel is in my district. So I was like, that's doesn't sound right, but that's what it is. Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, they could have just like cut out a little chunk to put the Cortez, the El
I'm not
Cortez.
complaining. It's a
Yeah,
cool development right there in my neighborhood. So hey, I'll take it. No problem.
yeah, and it's also it's a historic building, and it's I mean the inside is beautiful.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
I love it. I've been to one of the units there too. It's beautiful, beautiful.
it is gorgeous, and also just like as an aside, it's one of the few buildings in downtown that has its own driveway. At least, well, at least in this district. So like
Hmm.
a lot of the buildings, even though they're like beautiful and nice and big or whatever, there's no driveway. It just kind of like is right on the street. The
Yeah,
frontage is right on the street, or it abuts the street. Whereas like Cortez, El Cortez actually has like a driveway, and you can drive
yeah.
up, and you can like meet somebody in
Yeah,
front
and
of
then
your
there's like three
building.
parking spots or like four parking spots right there in the driveway too, which helps. And then there's a new restaurant opening up right below that driveway too. It's gonna be like a new breakfast brunch spot. I think it's called
Yeah,
Cali Breakfast. So I'm gonna be trying that soon.
yeah, I definitely see
Hmm.
that. All right, and I think we're gonna save the possibly best. I'm not sure, but we're definitely gonna save the last conversation, or at least the most exciting conversation for the last conversation, which is you are aware. I mean, Joel mentioned in the previous one of the previous clips, he talked about the Rady Shell and how awesome the Rady Shell is, but the Rady Shell was created because Jacobs is actually renovating Copley or Jacobs, the Symphony Hall that is in downtown. So Symphony Towers, as you may or may not know, was actually built around the original theater. And so you have, whenever you go to the Symphony Hall, you actually go in, you go up an elevator, you actually go into an older building that is now surrounded by Symphony Towers. And so there's going to be a renovation of that building. And Joel talked a little bit about that today, or when I interviewed him a couple of weeks
So here at the San Diego Symphony Hall, the Jacobs Center, $129 million investment to pretty much renovate the whole Symphony Hall. They're set to hopefully be complete sometime later next year. I've taken the tour. It's amazing what they're doing in there. It's going to be a huge piece, not only to downtown San Diego, but to San Diego regionally. But it's really putting the staple for the arts here in San Diego. The symphony's going all out. What they've done with the Ray Shell is amazing. So what they're doing here is gonna, I would say, match that, if not even be a bigger accomplishment. Especially because it's in city center. So, we're really excited to have this here and be part of this planning efforts to like really bring this to life.
Awesome. So that is well, you said $129 million investment. That's huge. It's probably creating a lot of jobs
Mm-hmm.
and, creating a lot of development. And one of the things that you mentioned, which I would certainly love to see at some point, but like one of the things that you mentioned is that they really did try to keep the original character of the space. So they're not turning it into a beautiful new concert hall. They are trying to keep the character of the original symphony hall, which is rather impressive.
I think so. When given our private tour of the area, I was just like mind blown. First of all, what they're doing in there and the time that they have planned for opening is just like amazing. I wish I could show the photos, but I'd rather save that. If there's an opportunity for you to maybe hopefully have a little cool podcast in the renovation site, that'd be awesome. But hopefully we'll save that for a future episode for you.
Yes,
But
that would be awesome.
you're in there, and they the one thing that remains is that character, that classic interior architecture around which would be around the stage. So if you've ever been to the Symphony Hall, the pretty much everything that like the ceiling is still in place, and the what's around the stage, or I believe, which and they're actually the pipes for the organs are still gonna kind of stay same. They might get touched up. They're gonna mainly get dusted, but everything else is gonna be brand new in there. It's amazing. It's a great investment for the whole, you know, not just downtown, not just city center, but I think San Diego as a whole. This is going to be amazing. The symphony is very excited about it. I know they want to plan something big leading up to the opening of the renovated Jacobs Hall Symphony Center. But yeah, it's great what they're doing. What they did with Rady Shaw was awesome, and what they're still doing with Rady Shaw, it's an amazing venue. I was recently at an event there as well, and I love it. It's 10 out of 10. This one I think they're gonna keep up to par or even past that. So very excited for that. But yeah, Symphony, they're very active in our business district as well, and serving on our board too. So we're excited to be partnered with them on this.
Absolutely, that's awesome. And I think when I think about San Diego, and um, I mean, I guess this is true of like every or any city, but one of the things that I really find amazing about San Diego is that it really does sort of, in sort of very unique and interesting ways, it really does blend sort of what was there before with what the future can be. So if you look at something like, Copley Symphony, or not Copley, the Jacobs Center, it really is kind of like a new building surrounding what used to be an old building, and it's really, really kind of amazing. If you look at sort of, as I mean, we were walking around and you kind of talked about how you can see all of the different sort of like architectural periods showing up in different spaces. So you kind of see like the 60s sort of, blocky 80s Mad Men vibe feel, and next to this beautiful brand new shiny modern, very modern building, and then you see kind of the original 20s architecture if you look at the Balboa Theater, and that is really just kind of part of what our city has to offer, and that's also
Mhm.
present in downtown, which I think is very unique about downtown San Diego.
I agree. You don't really notice until you start. Like, I didn't notice it until walking around the bid for like probably the 12th time. I was like, you know what? Each block is kind of divided in its own era of architecture. And just like you said, when we were walking in, I was like, yeah, this one's kind of like that Mad Men 1980s, 1990s type of architecture. And then you get to Broadway, and it's at that classic six, or what was it say, 20s, the 40s architecture with the gargoyles and everything. And then you got like little splats of like your and those normally the residential buildings, those modern architectural type of buildings too. So it's neat. It's really the the character of San Diego. I think we're a unique city. Surely, I think one of the best cities in the nation. Not just saying that because I
Yeah.
live here or anything, but but I can't imagine myself really going anywhere else. But I love San Diego.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it has the motto of being the America's finest city, which I really think is pretty accurate. I mean, you've got, and where, okay, I'm sure some viewer is going to hear me ask this rhetorical question and will like give me an answer, but like, where else can you live in the world where you can go to the beach in the morning and then go night skiing the same day and then watch the stars in the desert at
I've done that. Exactly, because you know what? You can't do it anywhere else.
night? Yeah, I mean you can do it in San Diego. It might be a little bit of a long day, but you
I
absolutely.
mean, true. I mean, you could probably do it in LA, but then you add the traffic on top of that to get from like just somewhere that's 10 miles away. It might be like 2 hours of traffic.
Yeah, I mean
Might be
that's
over
true.
exaggerating.
No, I mean I have been up to LA. I was there like at 1:30 in the morning, and I was like, where did this traffic come from? Like, I don't understand. It's taking me like half an hour to go a mile.
That's just the beauty of LA, ain't it?
And LA, Washington D.C. also has its traffic issues. That was also another like, oh, I'm driving here at like midnight or 12:30, and they're doing construction, so there is an hour and a half worth of traffic. I was driving to Philly actually,
Oh,
and it literally took me longer to get through Washington D.C. than it took me to go from the end of Washington D.C. to Philadelphia.
wow.
It was the traffic was really bad. It was not
Eh,
good.
I feel like for the most part we have our traffic pretty well handled here. Um,
That's
aside
true.
from when the Padres are playing downtown, it's hectic. But aside from that, it's pretty well maintained.
And it's it's pretty manageable.
Yeah,
Um, like it's not LA.
dude,
I mean,
not
it's not
LA.
LA. It's certain other places. Well, Joel, we've got like just about 6 minutes left. So I wonder, you know, what do you envision kind of these business improvement districts working together in order to sort of create a collective vision, or do you think that it's going to be kind of like individual places working towards their own goals, and you'll still have these like kind of fractured um, places
I,
in
I
downtown?
I've been seeing, and that's what I just started in this position about like just a little over 3 months ago, and that was kind of like what I was trying to like get a scope of like, okay, is there going to be silos in this district? But there's not really any silos. There's my board, for example, are from different parts from all around the district, and they all want to work together and get something activated here. Get that weekly activated night routine, and even if that routine's on B Street or C Street, and the businesses in E Street don't necessarily have a direct benefit, they're in the end going to benefit from it. So everybody's all hands on deck. It's not only the city center board, it's the downtown partnership as well, and their board. It's partnerships with the different committees throughout downtown as for example, I just had a meeting with the downtown partnership placemaking committee, and they want to see some activation, and they're for all around downtown San Diego, but they know there's a need here in city center in this area and C Street specifically. So you know everybody wants to see success in this area, and um it's not really anybody just trying to be like, no, I just want my area, no, I want my area. Yeah, I think it's everybody's all on the same, all on board, and all on the same side.
Yeah, well, I think that's awesome and really excellent because I think that all too often you see sort of these situations where people are like, oh, you know what, I have my little silo and I don't really want to work with you because you're in your little silo.
Hmm.
But it really sounds like ultimately everybody has the same goal, is to see a downtown that is a thriving, functioning, vibrant downtown that we love and care about and feel safe walking around in, and a space where, you know, maybe we could just take the trolley from UTC back to downtown or to downtown and, not have to drive all the time, which would be, really
Yeah,
awesome to finally see some like real public transportation and things like that.
yeah. Yeah, that, and that's the truth is that like we have MTS is going right through here with transportation. We have even like those the scooters in the arrow. We have the Fred, riding people around. Everything is here. It's just taking advantage of that and unlocking, how to connect everything together, and that's going to unlock that potential for city center, even downtown as a whole. Um, it's I had an idea like, hey, if we do like a holiday stroll event throughout all of city center, and a lot of people are saying, well, people don't want to walk through C Street or walk by the old library or walk by the post office because that's where it's you don't you get that image that of the encampments and everything, and people don't want to rightfully so, I guess, but don't want to walk by that or through that. So I had the idea like, okay, why don't we just get those Fred carts to drive people around? That's something to get them around. So it's looking at ideas about that and kind of like thinking beyond just walking. Whereas we have the trolley, we have these ways of mobility around downtown other than just walking. But walking's always good too. And we're actually having this event November 6th. It's with the San Diego Bicycle Coalition. It's called Ciclos Dias. Basically, it's a route that's going to go through all through downtown, and we have them going to be ending up on E Street at E and 10th, I believe. And it's going to be there's hubs everywhere around. So it's a great way to bring your bike, bring your scooter, rollerblades, or you can even walk the whole route too. So it's gonna be an awesome event on the first Sunday of November, November 6th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So
Uh,
that's a big event coming.
that that sounds amazing, and I will definitely uh, be there,
There
or
we
at
go. All
least
right.
at least like maybe find people that I can drag out there.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, and if you don't want to do the whole ride, just show up at the hub on East Street. We'll have entertainment there and vendors and stuff, so that'll be fun.
that's
It'll be a taste of
excellent.
city center. Yeah,
Yes. Well, Joel, I have to say I really appreciate your taking the time and talking to us, and having all of these insights. I also appreciate you kind of being the test case for all of these things that I wanted to do with my show, which for the most part I actually think worked out pretty well.
I
Um,
think so too. Yeah.
and yeah, well, and thank you all for watching. And I will be here next week with another real estate pro. Bye bye.
Everybody, thank you so much.
Bye.